All right, everyone, welcome again to the show. That is Pound for Pound, the most power-packed punch in podcast media, where we bring undeniable value that creates a ripple effect of excellence that emanates into your personal, professional, and especially today, spiritual life. Because to be honest with you, personal life is great, professional life is great. We have to pass the time somehow, but the truth is, if we're being honest, the spiritual life is what absolutely matters, because I don't think we can do whatever we cannot do anything to jeopardize our eternity. And that's just something that's kind of hit me over the past couple of weeks as I'm being summoned for 16 jobs when I used to have one. But that's another story. So, oh man, Jeff, let's actually, Rob, let's start with you, man. You something that you wanted to share that was on your heart, and clearly you had an experience recently that made you clearly reflect on some serious stuff, man. So why don't you share the goodness?
Thank you. Yes, I've known a calling of what I need to be doing for quite a long time, and I've tried many ways of pulling it off. Now, you get something in your heart, you get something in your head, you know that there's a version of you that's supposed to be there. And I finally got a glimpse on Thursday night just gone of, this is now it. You know, the sort of make your knees tremble, choke, tears at the corner of your eyes that you're trying not to cry in front of 300 people, that sort of level of experience. But I want to go back just 2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago, we got our Meta and Google advertising accounts ripped down for being religious extremists. And that's not the exact phrase they used, but that's pretty much what happened. And we lost a truckload of money. And we had 8 people booked when that happened for our event on Thursday night. However, at 2 weeks' notice, as everybody probably would guess, you've booked a venue, you've booked audio visual, you've booked guest speakers, you've booked an MC, you've paid all this money up front, and now you're in for it, right? There's the only way is forwards at this point in time. So we did 2.5 days with almost no sleep. We managed to go and clean up everything, get new accounts, put it all back online, and 287 people turned up at less than 2 weeks' notice.
What?
On Thursday night.
Wow.
We had a school hall that sat 250 that we'd hired, and we squeezed in another 37. There was people queuing out the door, and when I arrived at the venue, there was literally 200 people queuing down the street to try and get into the venue and go and get their seat. And I don't want to necessarily talk about it that long for that much, but it just strikes me that when you're doing it in his name and you're on the right path, like that feeling of flow and it just happening just happens. I was nervous about delivering. It's the largest talk that I've given with reference to God and business joined together live in front of a group of people. And I was really nervous about it. And then I ignored my iPad and just went for it for 30 minutes, got a standing ovation. And I just want people to draw confidence that when you're on the right path, doing it for the right reason, it flows and he's with you. And I think on occasions we're trying to batter our head against things that he really doesn't want us to do. And we find it really, really hard. And maybe we just need to listen and hear more and take that not as punishment, but as feedback that this isn't quite the right avenue. And obviously, like Brad, like you just said a minute ago, you've gone from one place to now an abundance of work flowing in your direction, right? And I think that sometimes we can think that we're Job, but maybe we're not Job. Maybe we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to do the wrong thing for the wrong reason. And it feels like for me here and now that I'm kind of on the right path, doing the right thing for the right reason. Now, whether the path continues forever or not, it's not my gift. But to go from 8 to 287 in 13 days, I think it was, it's just a gift, right? To get that many Christian business owners in a room who all want to grow their businesses in his name is just a gift. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like, listen for the feedback and follow it, as opposed to smacking your head against a brick wall. Um, Maybe you're not Job. Maybe you're not just listening. Well, that's kind of where I am. I don't know what you guys think and feel, or but that's. I just wanted to share it.
Yeah. So I'll just share a little bit about me. Kevin, your mic is putting a lot of feedback out there, man. Real static. Um, However it was before was better. So for it was very interesting that I've come into a place where I've been given this opportunity to really kind of do what I want to do, like as a job, and that's to uh, it's leading a technology company or like
Hey up.
so. Sorry, yeah, I mean it's just it keeps like pausing and stuff, and I don't understand why. Anyway, all right, so I'll start over. So I've been given the opportunity to lead the technology side of like all of these companies. You know what I mean? Which, you know, is really cool because I'm leading developers it's funny that Gina was telling me the other day, like, do you kind of finally see how all of those years of doing something else or trying to get the other business off the ground has led to this? You know what I mean? And for a while, I was like, man, why can't I get this stupid thing off the ground? I don't have the money. I know, blah, blah, blah. But it was preparing me to walk into this, to meet this guy at the gym, to start doing insurance, and then for him to, I can do. You know, anyway, it's just, everything is just falling into place. And so we're having a conversation last night because, man, my days are just like, Rob, I feel like you, man, because my days are just super packed now. I'm getting pulled in 10 different directions and it's like shifting on everything. Like I had to take over from the VAs yesterday and finish formatting a PDF doc for them and writing an email to one of the absolute highest higher ups of We Insure, decision makers at We Insure, which is like one of the largest insurance companies in the US, you know, and what they were writing to that executive, with all due respect, it was not appropriate to send to someone like that. So I was like, guys, let me just do this real quick. So I took it over with everything else. Everybody loves it, and then go. And so now every time I show a little bit of what I can do, now I'm also being asked to help in that arena as well, on top of everything else that I'm already doing, which is great. But Brad, your insurance is already suffering. We still need to pay the bills, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, trust me. I know I'm going to work all weekend, blah, blah, blah. But then this morning, the guy sends me a WhatsApp out of the blue saying, hey man, I need you. I really need you over here, 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 here. Give me a number. What is it going to take to pay you? I could have somebody else manage your insurance book of business if you want, blah, 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 blah. So now there's an offer. So it was worry last night. Not really, I wasn't really that worried about it, but she was, and that's how women do sometimes, right? And I just said, I don't know. I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep going and show the guy that I really want it and have faith, you know? And this morning, ironically enough, he just comes to me without me ever saying anything. So it's just very interesting that um you're right, Rob. It's just you kind of if you really take notice of it, you do know when you are on the right path. You know what I mean? You do know. You can see huge differences night and day much of the time if you look in where you were trying to do whatever you were trying to do versus getting on the path that God has for you. So, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a cut. Those are interesting points. There's a couple of things. One is being on that right path where there is that flow happening. The other part is wherever you're at is keeping God in the equation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think you get so busy you forget to that like he's your number one. My life has been all about selling. Like either producing sales or building sales teams. It's always been about that, and it's hard to explain to reps that I'm training that the secret to my success comes from me and my prayer time with God in the morning.
Mm.
And then when I don't have that time in the morning with them, well, gosh, the deals are a lot harder to close.
That's funny.
It's like, what kind of magic do you have? Do you really want to know?
Right.
What's your faith like, man?
Mm.
Because like you said, Rob, when he's in the equation, I felt like the flow is just so easy. I never worried about building companies. I never worried about producing, sales, stuff like that when he's in the equation because I knew it was just going to work out. And if it didn't, there's a reason for it. Maybe just needed
Yep.
to talk to this person. And it wasn't really about, the deal, the art of the deal, and
Right.
um, it's very interesting that you bring these points up because I think it's bilateral. Yes, it's about flow, but it's also about including him, in the equation of your life, to make sure that it's going the right way, right? Uh,
Well, I think it's
um,
important to say, never chase the money just for the money. I've done that in the past and it did not work out well. It was two of the worst years of my life. Because I was just going after the money. It was like, hey, they're offering me a lot of money and God
Yep.
must be in it, right? Because they're offering me a lot of money for no reason
Right.
out of the blue. So, um, but yeah, always keep God in it and don't chase the money because,
Mm-hmm.
my job is not my provision. My God is my provision. My job is a channel he provides through. So he can, put money in a fish's mouth, right? So he's
Yeah.
always going to be there to provide for me. I don't need to chase that.
Yeah.
I got a perspective on money, right? Money is just an evidence base from God about how good you are at serving people in business. It's just an
Yep.
evidence base, right? And I think we obsess about money or chase money, and we run a very dangerous risk of loving money just because of how the world gets structured. And if we love his children more, right? The children have the money, the children are the people who are our customers. Like we offer them the right stuff, the right value, the right love, the right relationships. The money is just the evidence base that you're doing it well, right? You're actually getting somewhere. And I always I find this so hard to explain to people. I ran a seminar these last couple of days. We had our evening event, and Thursday and Friday I taught a marketing seminar and all to Christian business owners, and to try and encourage them to let go of the cash. The cash just takes care of itself if you add value, solve problems, love people, and love a volume of people. The cash just sort of sits at the bank account, just takes care of itself. And I think that we as Christians end up putting the cart before the horse and treading a dangerous space. You know, I can actually ignore my bank account if I just do the right thing in the right sequence and just let go of it. And it's not even my money anyway; it's his. So what the blinking heck am I so concerned about it for? Um, and, and it's such a it hurts people's heads so much. But if we think about fully submitting means letting go of all this flesh, worldly stuff, knowing that he'll always provide us with enough of it as long as we do his work well enough. And so my challenge for most people is, how do you bring the joy of him into your daylight hours when you're working? Right? Because if you do that with excellence often enough, he will just reward you in abundance. And so, Kevin, I love it, but we just got to let go. Um, it, it will come if we do his work.
Side note, Rob, I think you might need to talk to Jeff and have him help you grow KP in the US here.
I didn't know Jeff did sales, but I did just take a mental note.
Yeah, man. He's been in it a long
I
time.
actually just I actually just appointed an African, Australasian, and European sales manager or sales director this morning, but I haven't got as far as the US's pot yet. But we actually just appointed a sales director this morning. We had a meeting at 6 a.m. and new guy starts in 30 days.
Nice.
So Jeff, well, we should talk.
Yeah.
I'm keen.
Yeah, we probably should. And I'm a business person. I've been a business person for a long time. And it's weird. I never really worried about money. I always seem to make money and but I really enjoy business and I enjoy people. So it's not the thought of being wealthy so much, even though, it is a measurement, in the world of success. That's what the world measures it. But to me, it's like I like the smoothness of business. I like the challenge. It's like a golf match to me. Like if I hit it in the sand, what am I gonna do now? Like how am I gonna get out of the sand? So it's like a game. So it doesn't like whereas a lot of people I think would be very stressed out about that kind of stuff. Um, everybody's different, right? You have to follow what God called you to do, period. And I always felt since I was a little kid, I'm supposed to do that. That's why I had a paper route. That's why I had my own stuff, bought my own stuff, so it's, I never felt weird about that, even when I wasn't a Christian. The whole money thing never really consumed me that way. It's just part of what I knew was going to come. So it's interesting though, a lot of times in churches today, it's a terrible thing to make money. Some churches, not all of them. And it really isn't. God, money's neutral. It's that the hands of the person that determines how it's used, and that is it can completely ruin a person, too. That's why God warns against it. However, in the hands of someone where they're not really paying attention, to do wonderful things, right? Wonderful, wonderful things. So.
Yeah, so I have a question for anyone who wants to answer. Because we have two separate sides of the spectrum. And I know that there are a lot of Christians who, let's be honest, may have the wrong idea. Maybe they don't really understand what God says about money. But I'm curious, like, why? Because I basically heard two of you guys say something very different than I'm sure what the other three of us would say about money, right? And, I guess I'm curious as to why is it really easy for some people to make money and why is it so difficult for others? You know what I mean? It just seems like, and I know a lot of Christians struggle with that because they're working two jobs, they're doing this, they're doing that, or whatever. And I know there's like obviously the entrepreneur business side, mentality side, everything else. But I'm just curious as a whole, what you guys think about that. It's just
I want to kick off.
I know you do.
Like my experience is if you chase a thing, it'll run away from you, right? And so most people chase money, and it's running from them because it's like you're chasing it, and it knows because it's God. So the fact that you're chasing after it means you're probably obsessing about it, which means you're probably likely to sin with it, right? Even if it's just a sin of the obsession of it, because an obsession is a form of love in a way, or a form of lust, right?
Yeah.
And so you chase after it, you push it away. And when you stop chasing the money, and if you imagine it as a very simple equation, it's like problem solved times value times people equals cash, right? When you chase after the bit at the input side of the equation, right, before the equal sign, and obsess about that, that's actually doing God's work, right? Value added, problem solved, helping people, doing that in volume. That's like discipleship. And then the bank account takes care of itself. And so I think that's the reason why people, like, if you were God, if you were, I maybe this is a dangerous game to play, but if I was to imagine myself as God, like up in heaven somewhere, looking down on us all and saying, There's these people that's chasing the thing that I've warned them against that can help them sin if they get it too fast and get it too easily and this, that, and the other, and they're chasing after it. What would you as God do? You probably try and help your children, right? You, as the father, you try and help your children and try and hold them back from it. It's a bit like children and candy, and you know it'll rot their teeth. You don't want their teeth to rot, so you don't let them gorge themselves, even though the child would have eaten the candy in abundance given half the chance.
Yeah.
And so what we're actually doing, if you play about like that, it's like, cool. Well, what's the input side that actually will just let the output side take care of itself? I don't know what Jeff finds or what Bobby or what you or what Kevin finds, but so many people struggle for cash because they're obsessing about the cash. That's how I run my world is like that, and it seems to work.
So do you think when they're chasing the cash like that and they're focused on the money, do you think they're just picturing the wrong results in their minds? In other words, this cash equates to something, and that something is, in God's eyes, regardless of how bad you want it, is something that is going to get you into trouble.
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
If I might.
Yeah.
I think it's exactly what Rob just said. It's about the people. Like your focus has to be on the people, period, because they're your valuable asset. And I think I've seen in my life, because of that focus, I've seen God operate in the people, right? And I haven't worried about the cash. I haven't worried about where the money's going to come from. It's just like, even if I'm going through, this is life, right? You're in the valley now, you're up here on the hill. Look, it ain't easy. I mean, there ain't nothing easy about making money, by the way. That's a farce.
Right.
So even the most successful man will tell you, yeah, it's success leave clues. You know what I'm saying? You got to do the clues. And but my whole point is that if your focus is on the money, would you ever find yourself talking to somebody who's really busted and then that's all they talk about is money? And yet, if you're talking to very wealthy people, a lot of times they never even bring it up. I'm not saying they're
Right.
better. I just think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if your idolatry, let's say, is money, you're probably going to talk about it a lot, right? It's going to be your focus, and like if you're really hurting or you're busted, that's going to be your focus. But I wonder if the focus should change. Maybe your focus should be on people. Maybe it should be on like helping somebody else and serving somebody else, because that's where God tends to bless people, is when they're in that servant type leadership role. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be my role or Rob's role or Bobby's role, Kevin's role. It has to be the role that you're in, right? Where the blessing comes from. And I think that's the topic really. It's about people. It's about their hearts, not about the money. Don't worry about that. It's like secondary. Well, but I'm busted. I got to worry about it. I know. I get it. But change your focus a little bit.
Right.
Well, I think you nailed it there, Jeff, with the idolatry. When you're obsessing over something, you're making that an idol. You're putting that ahead of God. And we're supposed to have no gods before him. So that's where you have to put your focus. That's where your obsession needs to be. It's okay to obsess over God, right? But obsessing over money makes it an idol.
Absolutely.
Bob Dog, what's your take on all this stuff, man?
I guess for me, I've just been soaking it in, because I think I'm the one that on the struggle bus today here. I'm the one that is I'm the one that I'm like you, Brad, but as far as like multiple jobs, just trying to grind my way out of this. I don't necessarily think I'm chasing the money, because I don't really care about the money. I do care about being debt. I care about being enslaved in debt. So maybe I am indirectly not realizing it. And so that's one way, I've tried to dig out of this hole. And I feel like, as you guys are talking, for me, I feel like if I had to be honest with myself, I'm in the boat and the storm is coming and I'm getting scared, right? Being real. Like I'm scared. I'm in the boat. Jesus is clearly there. He's sleeping. He's sound asleep, like with no care in the world. Like I am Jesus. Why I'm with you. Why are you worried? Why are you scared? And I'm sitting there going, but I still need to be in control. And I think the bottom line for me is I need to let go and let God and trust him and stop manufacturing all the things that I need to do, because I know I have to do a heart check. We talked about heart checks, and my heart, I know my heart. I know my heart isn't, it's not about the mighty dollar. It's about the people. But I know if I help more people, then it equals more dollars. Right. So am I really about the people? So I've got to really it's been a really challenging conversation today. I work probably 4 different jobs, and that's a challenge in itself. I need to focus on one thing, as we all do, because it's hard to be all over the place. But I'm just, I'm learning from you guys today. Trust me, you're preaching to me all like my heart is burning right now.
Can I ask you a tough question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you long enough. I could do that.
Yeah. You don't have to ask.
So, as you were speaking, because it's something that I've asked myself many, many times over the years, but I'm going to ask you. I mean, do you think all this is happening maybe because you're on the wrong track?
Oh, without a shadow. Yeah. I already know. Yeah. And I'm just trying to get back on the track. And so
Right.
there's a lot of, there's some things that are in place that I know God is setting up for me, and I've just got to let go and start focusing on him and get out of the boat. I got to get out of the boat, and I got to trust him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's I don't know. Maybe you guys see it different. It's like, you always see afterwards, right? You always see after the fact. You kind of have to just move forward in faith, not knowing everything. But then, like now, it's just, I couldn't even, I could not have asked for more alignment with what my new role that I'm going into. I couldn't have asked for any more. I couldn't have, there is not a job, there is not really a position like this that I would have gotten anywhere else, because my qualifications for that role, which I'm doing now, I don't have the credentials on paper. You know what I mean? But I have and have shown that I have the experience of, doing something that failed for many years. And I've been paired with a guy who is just, he's a vision guy. You know what I mean? He's a vision guy. He did really, really well in insurance, started an agency, sold it, made a lot of money, and he is a vision guy, and he wants to execute on this vision, and he sees me and doesn't need to see the resume. You know what I mean? So it's just I could keep going on and on about all the things that how God has aligned the path. You know what I mean? And as you said, Jeff, like I make sure, even if I'm dead tired at the end of the day and I'm laying in bed, I just stop for a minute or two and I just thank him. I always want to stay in humility and gratitude, and at least if nothing else, let him know that I see it and I appreciate it, and I'm just so grateful for what's coming, that I don't even know what's coming. But now it's like we're turning the corner finally. There's hope that I will be able to get us, as the man of the house, out of the hole that I put us in over the years. You know what I mean? Because that's important to me. Bobby's big thing is he wants to get out of debt. My thing is it's essentially the same thing, but I just want to finally do what I was trying to do all along. You know what I mean? It just happens to be in a different route. And maybe Rob, you can speak to this, because like, in conversations with her, I've had to come into myself. I'm like, for all these years, I was hoping so bad that I would be this guy, his name is Chris, by the way, and I'm hoping to have him on at some point. So, on this show, so hopefully you guys get to meet him. But, I was hoping to be the Chris guy, where I was the founder of a company that's successful, and then I could be the guy just handing out opportunity, giving people shots, giving people opportunities to thrive and everything else. And so I went from that to now being the guy that's being given the opportunity. And it's not, it's not like I struggled with that. It's a great thing. But I've, in my heart and mind, have to be okay following this guy, because clearly this is the path that God wants me on for whatever reason. So, humility,
I think,
There's nothing to say that you can't be that guy in the future, right? It's just it might not be
Sure.
now.
Right.
You use the following word, and you can't be a leader unless you're a great follower.
Mm.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And it's really remarkable. I've Brad, you know me for quite a while. I've had multiple businesses running at the same time. I've done pretty well for myself. Since this calling of kingdompreneur, I've been closing businesses, taking quite big cash hits as well in terms of revenue streams, kind of like dropping on a monthly basis. But it's just some of those businesses were misaligned with the calling. Yes, they made money, but actually, I don't like the ethics of that industry or whatever it may well be. And the more I follow the calling, the better I get looked after.
Yeah.
Right. This event on Thursday night, we literally poured tens of thousands into that, and already the WhatsApps and emails and the messages and whatever else of people, can we join? How do we use your services? Blah 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 blah. We haven't even done a sales pitch to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now we're looking at like the next event, 2,500 people we're booking a venue for. We're feeling braver because we've got confidence. So now we're going to stick 15K down or 20K down for that venue, plus the AV, plus the security people, plus we'll be in for 50 or 60K, maybe more, before, without even knowing how we're going to fill the venue. But we've got this confidence now that he supported us to do it once, so why not again? Like, let's just go give him the money in his glory and follow him. And I think that most of us are fed like some form of Western leadership model where we need to be the leader. And we want to be, but we can't be till we are the follower.
Yeah.
And the follower,
ahead.
no, I was just going to say, you look at Jesus. He didn't have multiple businesses and multiple ventures and multiple whatever else. Jesus had the corporate. I call it the corporation of God, right? He's the CEO of the corporation of God. He had like one mission, one job, one pursuit, and off he went. And he created a legacy that we're still talking about him, worshiping, loving him, and praising him 2,000 or something years later.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was going to say, Bobby, you mind if I share a testimony? I mean, it can be for really anybody sitting here, but you mind if I share a testimony?
Of course.
Right.
As Bobby says, you don't have to ask.
Okay. Well, I found myself in a pretty precarious situation. My house had burnt down, and I didn't have all my ducks in a row. My company wasn't killing it at the time. I owned a marketing company, and I had to take a couple steps back. And next thing you know, I find myself Uber driving in Seattle. I think this is probably where I met Brad, somewhere along the line. While I was up there, I was living with my best friend, who's extremely wealthy, and I had to borrow his car because I had $20 in my pocket. At the time, I remember being in my upper 40s and $20 in my pocket. Couldn't believe this precarious situation I was in, right? So I began to drive Uber, and I just stuck to my guns, focus on the people. Don't worry about the money, right? So of course I start making money. I start kind of digging my way out of this hole. And I was driving, and I used to pray before I drive. I'd say, God, I need to make $200. Will you help me make that? Right now, all of a sudden, I'd make $200 because it was very interesting, the tightness I had with the Lord at my most, I felt weakest moment, like I felt like all of the charismatic stuff that I possessed or whatever was really over here. And I really needed to trust God because I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And I'm driving one night, and all of a sudden, it's about gas in my car and food in my mouth. Those were my expenses. And if my car stopped running, I'm out of business. So my prayers every day is, God, keep this car running. Okay. Well, one day, I went to put gas in my car, and I'm like, where the hell is my wallet? I thought, oh my goodness, I can't find my wallet. I'm on almost empty, and I don't know where my wallet is. So I start praying, God, where's my wallet? And he says, drive to this location. It's the beginning of my day, which was probably, if you guys know where North Bend is, I'm in downtown
Oh,
Seattle. It's in North Bend. I have to drive close
that's
to
a
30
ways.
minutes. It's a
Yeah.
ways on an empty tank. So immediately I start trusting God, because I know, like, when I hear that voice, it's him. And I'm like, but of course I'm having an argument with them. I
Right.
can't believe you're going to have me drive all the way, to this stupid gas station where I know I didn't leave it. I'm having this real life conversation with the Lord. And he just doesn't say nothing because he already said what he said, right? Drive to this location. So I drive into the gas station, and this is 8 hours later, right, from my day that I started. I drive into the gas station, and I'm looking around. Yeah, see, God, whatever. It ain't here. I'm leaving. I'm going home. And so as I'm driving out the entrance, I was on the path, that the exact path is where my morning started. And God put a sound in my ear and reminded me of the sound that I heard in the morning, which is something thunk off of my car. Now, mind you, I didn't think anything of it. I just kept running, right? And he said very clearly, it's here. And I went, "Arr!" I pulled off to the side of the road, and I looked to my left, and I see my wallet in the middle of the highway, just staring at me.
Wow.
Wow.
I get out of my car, okay, and I can't believe it. I'm starting to cry, right? I get out of my car and I open up that wallet, and everything. This thing had been ran over 1,000 times, 1,000 times. There was no cards. All the cards were broken except the one I needed.
Wow.
The one I needed. I still have that wallet. That's the most important portrait in my house,
Wow.
Yeah.
because when it comes down to it, the reality is you all think maybe you're on this great path and everything, but the right path is the path of trusting him. Like when I had nothing, he gave me a card that gave me gas, that put gas in my tank so that I could make money, where I eventually made 6-digit in the Uber business. Right? Isn't that crazy? God
That's
really
amazing.
takes care of you when you focus on him and you just start trusting him, which is why Brad asked the question, what'd you say? Could it be that you're on the wrong track? I don't know. Maybe start asking him those questions. Like, I need to trust you. I need to follow you to my wallet that I know you're wrong about, but you're really right. You see, like that spoiled brat kid inside of us is always disagreeing. That's been my relationship with God still today. I'm always disagreeing, going, well, why though? But then I eventually go, okay, God, okay. Get out of my
Yeah.
own head. Get out of my own. I trust you.
The biggest takeaway that I took from all of that, and it's probably so simplistic, but yet that's how Jesus works, right? I think for me, my prayers are so vague. And I mean,
Mm.
like you prayed for specific, fill my gas tank up today. Like that was specific. And for me, I just pray, God, lead me. Follow. I mean, I'll follow anyway, but I'm not being specific in my prayer life. I'm not
Mhm.
saying, God, um, what, just take this specific debt away from me, whatever it is, right? So direct message to Jesus is what I wrote down. Be direct.
Yeah.
Don't be vague. And I think that for me was the biggest takeaway that I've got to get better at. Stop being so vague and so like open, even though he knows my heart, but he wants to hear it from us, right? It doesn't mean that we have to ask for the minimum, but being direct in your prayer life, I think, is so key. And that's the biggest takeaway that I learned from you, Jeff, is that you could have said, God, fill my tank up, but lead me to a $1 million person that comes in here, hands me $1 million. You wanted your needs to be taken care of that day, but you were specific in that. And to me, I think that's where we lose our path. And that's where I think if people are listening right now, if you're like me, sometimes generalizing your prayer life is exactly what you'll get.
So
I find such joy in being a dad, right? Being a parent, because it helps me actually kind of go and think, well, if I'm like my little dude, then and like if I'm behaving like that towards God, if that sort of like child pet father relationship, well, Jesus, and my little boy, he just had his birthday last week, his fourth birthday, and for months, literally months, Lukey, what do you want for your birthday? I want a workbench and tools, is what he says. We've taken him to the mall, we've been to shops, we've been to Toys R Us, all those places, and he walks around, he gets till he gets where the kids' workbenches are, and he wants one of those. And he didn't get distracted by all the other stuff, right? My daughter gets distracted very easily. Like, she can be at unicorns and Barbies and bikes in about 36 seconds. But Luke is like, he actually kind of boxed us into a corner where for his birthday, the only thing that we could do is give him a tool bench and tools. Right? And I think, Bobby, what you're saying is that our prayer needs to be, and Jeff as well, our prayer needs to be just like that.
Yeah.
Is often often we're asking for too many gifts, too many places, and our Father just goes, yeah, the guy's confused. He doesn't really know what he wants. And it's incredible. I pray to the point of tears quite often for the opportunity to be on stage and actually take the calling that I've been given 20 years ago about being on stage in front of 10 and 15,000 people and talking and helping them be better versions of them. I pray for that, and it is incredible just then how it happens. It's like not only are you praying, but you're talking it into existence. You're breathing life into this thing that you want and that you need and that he can help you with. And I just think on occasions, I think you're so right, Bobby. On occasions, we could be so general, and he's like, "Cool, good job, you. I'll give you the opportunity to wake up tomorrow morning. High five."
Exactly.
Like, and then we're not very grateful when we wake up in the morning, right? But we should be. Another gift to disciple for another day. Anyway, that's just my
couple of things. Is you pray without ceasing, right? There's no wrong time. Right. And I just took it verbatim that if you don't ask, you don't get. So I'm going to be very specific about what I asked for, because that's what I need today. So, and you know what? He always answered.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it was more than I asked for. Most cases. Not very often it wasn't.
Yeah. So, Bobby, if I may, something just came to me as you were speaking a while ago and everybody else was talking, is that, I've heard really and truly, man, when we get on these calls or these shows, it's like you seem to bring out the debt a lot. Like, you really bring that up like quite often when we talk about money, and I understand that. Like, I'm with you. I don't want to have it anymore. I want to get rid of it. I want to have the control. I want to have all this stuff. I get it. So I guess, like, is it possible? Because again, we've been talking about focusing on money, right? Putting way too much focus on money, and I guess it came to me that I mean, are you focused on money too much? In other words, like, debt is money, right? It's money you owe, but it's still money. Do you think maybe you were too focused on the debt?
Yeah, and I'll actually I'll micro answer that this way.
Mm.
I'll tell you how focused I am on it is that I, again, I've been in the mortgage industry for many, many, many years and made a lot of money. Okay. And for the last 2 years after my stroke, and I've suffered, and, God is good. I'm not even complaining about that. But so everything got, everything got behind. And so out of desperation, I took a desperation job, and I'm stuck in this job because it doesn't pay that much, but it pays the bills. Right. So I am, I wouldn't say comfortable, but I'm, what's the word? Um, Not even complacent, because I'm not even complacent at all about it, but I just
You're
know
kind of
that
stuck, man.
comfortable, maybe stuck, comfortable, or just knowing that, yeah,
They
stuck. I
could be
think that's
one and the
probably the
same,
better word.
bro.
Yeah,
Stuck and
stuck,
comfortable go hand in hand.
stuck. Yeah, and not trusting. Like I know this is my safety net. Let's put it that way. I like that one. This is my safety net, and I know if I was to step out back in faith, doing what I love and what I'm good at, that that I can literally, I know that God would use me, but I'm stuck in the boat. Again, I'm in the boat, and I need to step out of the boat. But I also, you said something, Brad. Men, we're men. We're prideful. We want to support our family. I used to be the breadwinner of my entire family, and my wife now makes more than I do, which is, I don't care about that. I'm not that guy. However, I don't like to see my wife have to work so hard, because she shouldn't. That should be my job to help and alleviate that, because I really believe, not from a hierarchy standpoint, but wives should not have to work as hard as men. Period. Like I think she needs to be. Again, we all need to be with our kids. And again, I don't want to be sexist. This has nothing to do with that. This is
Yeah.
like there's a place for everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel bad that she has to work so hard. Now she loves it. She's good at it. She's very successful, but that puts pressure on me to make sure that I can't cut the safety net and make it worse for her, put more pressure on her until this other thing works out and starts coming on. And then, so that's why I'm putting all this pressure on me, building, putting myself out in many places and trying to do so many things. And eventually, hopefully that funnel will fill up and start overflowing, and then I can get rid of this one and then I can do that funnel. You know how we do in sales, right? So, but like you said, Brad, I'm, it's a safety net. Not necessarily comfortable, but I know that it's something that I got to cut. And trust me, God has been working in me, right? Like every day. And listen, the company's getting ready to implode anyway. So it's like, maybe it's either the company implodes and God's like, do you want me to just get rid of the company for you? No, I don't. Because here's the thing, going back to a servant heart, all of my guys make way more money than I do, because I run a sales division, and I love that, because my heart is to see them successful. Um, Although I probably could go out on my own and blow their numbers away, but my heart is, as a servant leader, is to see them be successful, which is, I wrote a letter, or a newsletter in LinkedIn about, um, sometimes managers, they definitely take a seat. A good manager will have to take a seat, financial step back to see your other guys grow, but that gratification alone is huge, right? And there's truth in that. But at the end of the day, that's not my passion where I want to be, and I know that God is using me, and I'm not impatient. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing, like what Jeff says. He hears him. He hears what he's saying. I want to make sure that I'm hearing him.
I have a feeling Rob has something to say.
Not at the moment.
Oh, I
I'll put
was
the pressure
wrong.
on him.
Wow. No,
Rob
no.
Rob always has something to say. No, I'd like to throw a couple of things out there.
Giddy up.
First of all, Bobby, the talking about your wife and stuff. Our wives have an anointing to raise our kids and take care of our families, and I don't know where my family would be without my wife. I have
Amen.
amazing children. Most of them are adults at this point, and I couldn't have made them what she made them. So
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that for sure. The other thing is, it's funny. I look at, like, I got paid yesterday, and I looked at my bank account, and I was like, wait, is that how much I'm supposed to make? Is that number? I don't even know how much I make, because I just enjoy my job. God put me in this place. I love doing what I do. And, I don't think about the money at all.
Mhm.
And the place he put us in, we are comfortable and we're taken care of, and we're able to put money other places. We have a couple of ministries that we support that, when I was back in Dallas, we were working 4 jobs plus had our own company on the side, and I couldn't pay the bills, much less pay the bills and support, other ministries or contribute to other places that we wanted to. So, and, I've talked about it before. Who in their right mind would move to Omaha, Nebraska from Dallas, Texas? If God hadn't told us specifically, and when we moved here, we didn't have a job, or when we were planning the move, we didn't have any jobs. God said, move to Omaha. And I was like, okay, well, if you say move there, you're going to provide a job. So I started looking on my own with all my, all the contacts I had, all the LinkedIns with all the recruiters and all that kind of stuff. And they're giving me numbers of jobs. They're like, well, I could probably find you a job for this much. I'm like, well, how many of those can you find me? Because I need like 3 jobs at that amount. And, God led us to the people that I work for now. And in the interview, they're like, well, how much do you need to make? And I said, well, my wife and I have multiple jobs right now, and combined with those jobs, we make this amount of money. And I need at least that, for her not to be able to work. And I said, I'm sorry if that scares you with my skill set. And they're like, no, it doesn't scare us. We just need to pray about it and look at it. They offered me more than what I was asking for a little bit, and then offered my wife a job on top of that. And we were kind of going through a faith journey at that time with learning how to use our faith. And we started praying for God. We need $5,000 by the end of the month. Just to put a number out there, to put that mark on stuff, we're moving, we need $5,000 by the end of the month. And it came to the end of the month. It was the last day of the month. And they had made my wife an offer, of, X number of dollars. I hate talking about actual numbers. So they made her an offer previously, and she was going to accept it. Well, they hired a director of operations after that, between the offer and this time. So it's the last day of the month. She already had an offer. He called her up. He said, I know we offered you this position, but I really want you in this position under me. I want you to work directly for me. And she's like, okay, whatever. I've already kind of accepted a job. Well, he sent her the actual offer letter versus the verbal, and that offer letter was $5,000 more.
Wow.
So, God works in different ways than we think, but he answered our prayer. He gave us $5,000 more by the end of the month. And it wasn't somebody walking up with a $5,000 check, which is, what our minds think,
Right.
oh, checks in the mail and, all this kind of stuff. God just
Gold
gives
bar.
us whatever, but he did provide, he did answer that prayer. So I think what I'm trying to get as a takeaway here is, if we follow him and do what we love, he's always going to give us something that we love to do. And that passion is where you're going to end up, Bobby. What you're passionate about, what you're good at, what you love doing, and you'll not be focused on the money when you get that. When you get to that point, you won't be worried about the money.
Yeah, I will say that I won't be moving to Nebraska.
To Omaha, yeah. Don't say it. Don't say it. We learned a long time ago, don't tell God I won't move here.
I know.
Because I told God I would never
thought
move to Dallas, Texas, and he put me in Dallas, Texas.
It's funny because when you said that, I immediately thought of Abraham. Abraham, God says, you take this and you split this, and Abraham gave the beautiful land, over to his Lot, right? And then he took on the other land. So you took the Abraham path. You're good, bro. You gotta make it work. I like it.
Yeah, and he's always going to take what he gives you and make it better. And I think
Amen.
that comes out of that story as well. So he'll make a beautiful thing out of it. Just keep looking at him.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried. I'm learning so much from you guys, and today has just been a really good learning faith test, if you will.
So I have a quick question for you again.
Well, I wanted to can I give a quick perspective on the view I have about money
Sure
and
thing.
lending?
Yeah. Why not?
Lending. So
You know about
in
money?
Proverbs, it's and I've got an attitude towards it as well.
Or a
But
few.
firstly, it's about like not only do we serve the right people to make money, it's about working with the right people. So like people who work for me, we ensure they earn more than enough money so they don't need to worry about money in their own personal life, and we take the physical manner off the table as a concern thing,
Mm,
because people have enough concerns in their life like relationships, health,
yeah.
him, so much else. So find the right people to work with, and they will look after you in a good way, and I think that's really, really important. But I view that chapter in Proverbs that talks about becoming a slave to the lender. I don't think we fully understand it, and I don't think we appreciate it. I don't
That's right.
think, I think that we view it as a cash thing without looking at rich and poor in terms of like relationship with him, rich and poor, relationship with time, rich and poor, relationship with others, rich and poor, right? Um, and so I don't always think, I think we think about this in too much of a like, oh, the borrower, as in the bank. So
Mm,
like how indebted are we in other areas of our life? But also slavery is an attitude and a mindset. It's not actually a thing, right? You could go and read A Man's Search for Meaning. Who wrote that book? Oh my gosh, the Austrian psychologist who was in Auschwitz during World War
mm.
II, who got dragged into the gas chambers 3 times, and each time, just before they were about to go and gas them all, they couldn't close the door because they were squishing too many bodies in. So the guards reached in and grabbed limbs and pulled limbs out, and out he came.
Huh.
Right? And he survived 3 times and survived the end of the war and whatever else. And his whole book is about how actually everything we experience is a choice. It is a choice of perspective. And so I feel quite comfortable borrowing money, but I borrow it as a tool to use, as opposed to out of a necessity because I back myself into a corner that I can't get out of unless I borrow cash. And I think that if you borrow it as a tool, that's a very, very different perspective. Maybe not even borrowing, it's using it as a tool rather, as opposed to borrowing it. And so I think that we need to go and reframe in our head what being a slave to the lender is. And are we willing to really be a slave to the lender? Is that the attitude we will go and view it in? Or maybe what if we're just grateful to the person who gave us the cash for a short period of time, and we're grateful for it? Just that little mental change of viewing it like through a different set of glasses, it can significantly free us to go and be excellent. Like to be in dominion like he is. To like you go and look at the story of Moses and the Israelites, and the Israelites, once they were free and they weren't slaves anymore, they actually worked harder generally than they did when they were slaves.
Yep.
So it wasn't about the quality and quantity of work; it was about the mindset of who's in control of this, and so on and so forth. I just wanted to. I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I probably will do if you give me the microphone too long. But but are we really thinking about this money thing and this debt thing in the way that he needs us to in order for him to support us?
Yeah, and I'm curious, Bobby, if anything we've talked about and what you're going through, if do you, or I guess I should ask, maybe I should not assume, um, does the possible calling on you to start a church factor into everything else that you've talked about today?
Go on, Brad.
Wow.
Chuck out the right hook. Just chuck it out there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's definitely part of the journey. I don't know if it's the specific church, if you will, but there's definitely ministry. I'm working on ministry. It's funny after our call last time, um, out of the blue, like again, I haven't talked to this guy. We worked together probably 15 years ago. And out of the blue, he calls me, and I hadn't talked to him in forever. And he says, "Hey, I have friends of mine. He's my age, so he's got friends that are in their 60s and 70s, probably 70s. And he says, "Do you mind praying for them? Because her husband's in the hospital and he's not doing well." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Of course, I'm not I mean, simple, right? Yeah, absolutely." He says, "Well, do you mind if I get them on the call? He's in the hospital room right now, and I just want you to pray." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're doing this." Okay, let me just get ready, right? And I'm like, "God, what's going on here? Like, I'm just a dude, right? I'm just a dude that loves Jesus, and I'm not afraid to say it, right?" But and this clearly this guy called me, and I'm not saying this as a like I'm anything special. I'm just saying it was just weird how right after we talked, this guy out of the blue calls me to pray, and then I've been now praying with him and this family. He's since gone to be with Jesus. They've been married 67 years. It was a beautiful story, and it was so amazing that he got to be with Jesus. And but just the fact that God is using me in certain ways that I did not think He'd be using me in this manner. So, but I'm just being obedient. So to answer your question, long answer, I don't know yet, bro. I'm
Mm.
still praying about it. I'm still seeking. The one thing you'll learn, about me is that anywhere I go, whether it's whatever work that I do, I bring Jesus into everything that I do, everywhere that I go. And I try to represent him and imitate him in all things. So, yeah, we'll see, man.
Yeah, because I mean that's like the way you're speaking right now. It kind of seems like they're two separate tracks, right? Like the potential ministry path, and then the everything else path of the job and the mortgage and the this and the that. But I guess what I'm asking is that I wonder if you're not supposed to merge, put them all on the same road to figure it out. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, it does. But,
No. Again, I'm not trying to push you anywhere. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like,
No, I got you. Yeah.
as an outsider listening to you, it
Yeah.
just like, because I've been there as well, dude. Like, I've been all over the place. I've been,
Mhm.
trying this, trying that, doing this, I mean, like, I've been there, done that, man. I get it. So it's, I was just curious, is if that potential vision just factored into where you are.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think, Bobby, you're on the right track. I mean, what did Jesus do through his whole ministry? He just ministered
Yeah.
to the people.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
people came to him and he took care of them. And
Mhm.
what you're doing, what you did with this family was exactly what he would do. He
Mhm.
would take care of them. He would pray with them. He would minister to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where church is built from, right? The original churches after Jesus died were home groups. They were family groups that just met together,
Yep.
prayed and ministered to each other. And that
Yep.
grew and grew and grew. And, that's where the best churches grow from. And if,
Yep.
if you're
Amen.
called to pastor a church again, then, just keep doing what you're doing. Follow God, do what he would do. Be more like Jesus. Our pastor says that all the time. He says, if you want to see what Jesus looks like, I'm striving to look like him. So if you can't see him, look at me and you'll see him through me. So
Yeah,
that's
that's why I'm
really
growing
where
my
we have to
beard.
strive for. Yeah. Yeah. You
I'm
got
growing the
to,
beard out.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah,
Mine's a little, I probably need some Lady Clairol or something to help me look more like Jesus, but I don't know.
like in my life at least, I can only talk about how he works in my life. But to me, God has always been a gentleman. Like sometimes I tell him, to back off. Hey, can you go a little slower? You're going too fast with me, Lord. I'm changing too fast. And he'll back off until he doesn't. So I think it's really important to listen. Like that may not be your calling, Bobby.
Yeah.
It just
Mhm.
let's be honest. I mean, it may not be. We don't know.
Yep.
Right.
But there's one thing for certain is God knows. Like he's very certain. And so it's us that aren't certain. And so, I always just went, well, I'm going to tell God what I think until I don't. until he says very clearly something to me that I kind of go, you need to listen, Jeff. You heard that voice again. You need to listen. And you're going to know, Bobby, and it ain't going to be anything that we tell you. It's going to be what he says to you, and you would become
Yep.
so focused and so driven because you are powerful. Okay? And he already knows that. God gives you a 10 when you're born. Unfortunately, the world takes you to a 2, and you start believing it. But God always made you a 10. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think we also have to, like embrace the little things. I think there's so many Christians that think that this piece, and this piece has to come in the form of some drastic, you know, huge testimony that, like you guys said a while ago, if somebody is needing some money, we're kind of trained, I guess, to think that if it comes, it's going to come in the form of some random person handing you a check or handing you a $5,000 or the exact amount you need. You know what I mean? But, you know, the guy that Bobby ministered to, that, you know, like the guy that he hasn't spoken to for 15 years, called him out of the blue and asked him, "Hey, can you pray for this guy?" You know, it's a little, it may, or it's, how do I say it? I mean, we got to embrace the little things, meaning we have no idea how much that may have affected positively the guy who passed away or the friend that hadn't talked to him in forever. We have no idea. And we think that things that we do have to be just grandiose, when literally, really, it's the simple things that often make the biggest impact.
And maybe the impact is
Right?
in you, not anybody else. Right? He wants to show you something great.
Right.
Like he wants to work on you
Right.
and make you into something.
Right. Growth. Right.
That may not be something that the world sees as big, but in you it's big.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Spiritual growth, all kinds of growth, man. Because that translates into doing more little things that make grandiose impact for others. Man, I underestimated for a long time. I've really underestimated the power of the little things, to be honest with you guys. I have underestimated. Rob, Bobby, especially you as well. Like Jeff even knows the struggle that the impact I was trying to make in a venture that was going nowhere. I mean, all the right pieces were there. I remember I was in, living in Kirkland and in the basement and reconnecting with Bobby for the first time in a decade. And we're just talking about the stuff, and I'm telling him about this venture, and I'm telling him about all this stuff. And he's thinking, man, this is really cool. This can do so much, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, like, there was a possibility to make such a huge impact, and that was my intent. But that wasn't God's intent. You know what I'm saying? That was not his intent. It was the whole struggle, man, was just a freaking preparation for what is happening today. You know what I mean? So be okay with the struggle, man. It's just like, it's easy to say that now looking back, but holy crap. Like, Rob, you and I've had conversations, man, in the past of like, I can't get this thing going. I don't know what else to do. Rob, what can I do to make it more shiny? What can I do to get people to see it? I was giving nonprofits a way to have free money, unlimited, and none of them would get off their asses to do anything. It just made no sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, just embrace. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Just if that makes any sense at all, because I got no words after that. So somebody help
Brad,
me.
Brad, I also want you to know that you were just getting feedback, right? The feedback was that you hadn't learned what you needed to yet in order for the thing to work, right? Because
Sure.
I still firmly believe that focus loop is a thing that is viable, that has legs, that can work. It's just you hadn't learned what you needed to yet to make it work. And so maybe you're being taken on a journey now to learn what you need to learn in order to make it work.
Maybe.
Right? Because people don't engage in obvious solutions. They just don't. They actually have weird and wonderful and wacky ways of engaging with things. But I wonder, as I look at the businesses who I work with and the people I help with money, well, I help a lot of people with money. I talk about money all day often. Is we're often measuring something. We're trying to measure the impact in a non-biblical way.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to measure impact of your venture or you in a biblical way, it actually would be measured in like souls saved, random conversations with strangers about God and Jesus, and says, if you want to take it further, cool. If not, whatever. Praying in silence for people who don't even know they're being prayed for, praying for people who do know they're being prayed for, or simply just representing him silently through our actions and radiating his light out of us in an incredibly positive way. All that really is like, how do we measure how many people we can positively impact in a day? Like that's it. And as I look at the places I spend a lot of time in, they've all got all these complicated metrics that ultimately are measured in dollars. Right. And it's not lead volume. I'm like, seriously, these are human beings. Right? If I told you that you were a lead in a CRM, that's like a dirty feeling. If I told you were a loved, no, but it's cool. It's like swearing at you, right? Like you're a lead. We don't value you anything more than that. You're just a lead in a computer. Dogs are on leads, right? That's not a great way for a business to teach human beings, to treat human beings. And it's incredible when we start changing this perspective to something more biblical. And we actually talk about like the human potential that we've got in our business, right? And measuring that. And how many more humans have we engaged today? And how much more joy can we bring to the humans? And how much more so on and so forth? We start talking about the people like they're people. Everybody's finances, business, and everything else, and attitudes just change. But the business language that we use around money is pretty ugly and destructive. The performance indicators that we put in place and the way we talk about it, we're talking about human beings like they're dogs on a lead. And then we wonder why we struggle. Like, come, how did Jesus talk about those same human beings? When are we going to choose to talk about them in the same way?
Yeah.
Because this journey that we're all on, this isn't in like a darkness hours and only daylight on a Sunday. This is like daylight from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday as well. And if you work longer than that, for that as well. Like the moment we reframe how it is we believe other humans are and the language we use around them, the better our world gets. And sorry, I'm going to go on a pedestal, but like it's so important. We look for biblical rewards, but we use non-biblical language. And then we end up with like a just breaking even every month and scratching around to pay the bills, and we're kind of all right, but we're not all right. Well, if we're going to do our world in a non-biblical way, partly, and then try and do it in a biblical way on the other side, we end up with a sum total of 0 in the middle. It's like -1 plus 1 equals nothing. And so what if we just change that wording? Because he's hearing all those words we use. Closing in sales. I hate it. Oh, I closed so-and-so and I dealt with their objections. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you're not working for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Dead cert, you're not working for me. How about I supported George to make a great decision for himself so he can go and have a better life and be a better husband and father by taking these actions? Same thing, but linguistic change. And we celebrate that.
Huge change. Yeah. Total different perspective change.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're good. Keep going if you want.
Look, I'm sure Jeff's got so many pearls of wisdom that I'm just railroading over the top of today. There's something in my heart tells me that.
I got plenty of things I'm writing down today, Rob.
Yeah.
Please don't I'm gonna start with my talk that I give, right? And then my keynote, one of my keynotes is, if you imagine God up there, sat around the boardroom table with all the other gods, negotiating about how they're splitting up all the humans on planet Earth. You God can have one. Of course, none of you can imagine that because it doesn't exist, right? There is only one God.
Right.
He's in dominion, right?
Right.
And so he doesn't sit around up there negotiating with all the fake gods. He's like, no, I'm in charge. I'm the boss. We're going this way. Then he made us in his image in Genesis 1. After he made everything. So he gave us infinite power to be infinitely like him. And then Jesus says in John, and you will do more than me. And you hold those in your hands. And I think I've said this before. At some point in time, we have to go and decide to use both the resource and the command to go and sit in dominion, to elevate our industries and elevate ourselves above everybody else, to stop deciding to be mediocre and just decide to go and be the kick-ass version of a human that he put us here to be. And we've got it all. All of you have got it all. There is inside of you, you know it because it's bubbling inside of you, right? Inside of you is more to come, more to give, more to do. And it is simply one decision.
Amen.
And he wants us there. Like, if I was the Father and I was sat up there looking down, I'd be pleading silently, like begging us to do it. Like to drive the supercar that he made and gave here. Like, why let somebody else drive a supercar? Have a kick-ass Christian drive a supercar. Like, fly the plane, drive the yacht. Like, he filled the toy shop with goodies, right? Surely we should go and like look after his goodies and drive them in a sensibly, obviously, but but enjoy them.
Yeah.
Anyway, please don't let this be the Rob show. I'm in a hotel room.
Somebody stop him! Somebody shut him!
Brad, you're in charge. Press mute.
Somebody pull out the hook. Frisky, what you got on this, man? Anything?
No, I'm kind of like Bobby at this point. I'm kind of just absorbing. It's been good stuff this morning.
Yeah. So it seems like we're kind of. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
This week I've been, we were praying and have a little Bible study with my kids. Talked about the first sin in heaven and then the first sin on earth. The first sin on heaven was pride and or disobedience, right?
Yeah.
Which is always disobedience. And then you look at the first sin on earth, disobedience, right? And I got to thinking, as Christians, we're really hard on ourselves because think about Lucifer hanging out with the Almighty Creator, and yet still chose to die. Literally just completely become. He wanted to be Jesus. He wanted to be God, right? And then you literally had Adam and Eve walk with God, like in dominion with him, right? Yet still was disobedient, still chose to sin. And, I think for me, we really, as Christians, don't give ourselves enough credit, in a way that we're not perfect. The fall of man is not perfect. But to just completely, I think my goal for my kids is to just have that discernment and have that Holy Spirit to continue to guide them and construct them to be obedient in all things. And then if they're disobedient, that the Holy Spirit literally will convict them, And I think that's the beautiful thing. What you said, Rob, is you'll have more than I. That's the Holy Spirit that dwells within us. And I love that because I have been so legalistic my whole life and saying, if I can't be perfect, I can't do this, I can't preach, I can't do these things because I'm not. But then I go back to the fall of man. I go back to the in the beginning, and I'm like, they were there with him, right? Like physically walked with him and yet still fell. So, man, it's, listen, I don't know what that meant anything to anybody, but listen, we're not perfect, but our strive to just be in union with the Holy Spirit is all we need to focus on, and his obedience.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of what jumped out to me there when you were talking about the pride and the fall and everything, um, is we need to strive to be like God, but we don't need to strive to be God. I think that's where they misstepped and the pride took over. Is I want to be him. I don't want to be like him. I want to be him. I want to take over him,
Right.
not be like him and do his will and just do everything like he would want, but not be him.
Yeah.
So, and I think in the garden, it was pride too. It was, because Satan came, Lucifer came to deceive him. And he said,
Yep.
you know, it, that's not what he said. You can interpret what he said better than what he actually said. He didn't say you would die.
Right.
You can eat the, he just said, he just doesn't want you to have the knowledge that he has. And,
That's right.
deceived him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it was pride. It's, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? God who created me doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that verse, the Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit.
Mm.
So it's y'all seen the movie Gladiator, I'm sure, because we
Mhm.
men. But he never wanted that post. He never wanted that seat. He wanted to be a father, right? And you always got to worry about the person that, well, number one, that wants to be in
Yep.
leadership, and
Yep.
or secondly, starts walking around saying, "Yeah, I saved this guy."
Right.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that's not
Mm.
somebody who has a broken heart and a
Mm.
contrite spirit, because the reality is we could never produce that type of miracle, but we can see it. We can watch it. We can watch God in his amazing orchestra. He's a conductor, and you get to be part of the orchestra. And that's the coolest part about knowing who God is. And it doesn't change for the person who doesn't have that broken heart. It didn't for me, right? I was the one who never wanted to be. I was probably the last person on earth that wanted to be a Christian. Quite frankly, like I said, I was too cool for school and all of that. Um, but it wasn't until I got to the broken heart part, right, that he came in and went, "Here's a new one now. Yep, now I'm going to give you. This is what I'm all about, Jeff Hoover. You didn't know that, did you? You excited now? Yeah, I'm excited now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was gonna actually kind of shift to another topic, but I don't think I should because it. I was gonna ask you guys, what do we think about AI, real quick, but it's not gonna be real quick. So so we'll see if that comes up on a later show. But um, Bobby, I gotta just tell you something as a friend. I hope that, and I'm sure we'll be praying for you, but I hope that I hope that you find your way onto the undoubtedly right path. You know, I speak from much experience of, you know, being on so many wrong paths for so long. And now I understand and see what it means to actually be on the right path because as we talked about earlier, the doors just keep opening, and I don't know why I'm on this path. I mean, is it really cool that I get to do what I really actually love doing now? Yeah, that's great. But what's the real purpose? It's not just for my enjoyment. I know that. There's got to be a reason. Maybe, as Rob said, maybe it's I manage a team of developers now that are all in Pakistan. Guarantee you they're not Christians. Maybe it's to shine or expose them to Christ somehow. You know what I mean? And I'm adding to the team. I'm hiring like 2 or 3 more people right now. All of them over there, So maybe there's a deeper purpose than just building cool stuff. I don't know what it is. I'm just going to keep going forward on the path that I clearly he's laid out for me and try to be obedient and see what happens. So my hope and prayer for you, man, is that you God illuminates for you this path and then you recognize it quick, and you just go, whatever the path may be.
Man,
I think
I
you're
receive
already
that,
on the
bro.
right path, mate. You're on the right path. There is
Man,
only
you always
one
gotta
path, and
you
it's
always
his path.
gotta like
No, dude,
trump my.
I'm just going to say it. He's already on the right
I
path.
know I'm messing with you, Rob. I'm
He's
messing with
got
you.
it. Yeah, no, he's
Right.
already on the right
Well,
path. We are all already on the right
Hard
path.
to know
Every single one of
sometimes,
us.
right? Yeah,
That's
hard to
right.
Yeah,
know.
but I think
That's what I'm
we
saying.
live in an illusion. We live in an illusion, right? It
Right.
is as a humans. We live in an illusion that we've got more control over time, space, and matter than we actually have. That we actually can predict and prevent and stop and insure against and whatever else, something in 36 seconds time, 36 hours time, whatever else. Um, and we're all trying to shine a flipping halogen spotlight to 5 years in the future and work out what the best thing is, when really God's given us a lamp and it's just shown us where the next step is.
Mm-hmm.
And the lamp doesn't illuminate much further than that. We're on his path, um, and I think this whole, for me, my biggest journey over the past 18 months has literally been this submission thing. Is just to understand I'm on the path. It's his path. It might not be pretty on occasions. Sometimes it's very pretty, and I don't really have much control. Like I've got to go drive after this. I can pull across the traffic lights at the top here and have a lorry drive into the side of my car. I don't know. So how about just be truly grateful for where we are now, for the love about us, the joy of the world, these conversations, the differences we can make, and just know that we're on the path that he wants us to be on and needs us to be on, and he's in control.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm living my life at the moment, and it seems to be working all right. I'll complain about it in 6 months' time, but at the moment it seems to work all right.
Yeah. And Rob, I don't know if you found this, man, but I think that a lot of us, people in general, but I think a lot of times we as Christians, we associate the path with a career, a job, you know what I'm saying? Like it seems to be like that's what fills the space of that, when it's really like it's career versus his purpose for you, right? There's a clear line of demarcation there, in my opinion, that we just kind of substitute what we're supposed to be doing, i.e. as job, career, etc., when it's really, we should be seeking the vision of his purpose for us and move in that direction.
And there is, we know the answers, right? Because it's not even magnify your talents. It's love, O Lord,
No.
of Israel, love, O Lord, our God, love
Right.
other human beings as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else comes second to that.
That's right.
Well, I
Everything
think it does.
else.
Kevin's probably going to tell me that I've stuffed that up biblically, but I think that's pretty close.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Everything else, the job, the daily life, the family, the wife, the this, the kids, everything else, all of that funnels into the purpose of the Great Commission, right? That it all funnels into that, right? So that's all I'm saying. Like everything at the top of the funnel is career, this, that, whatever we're fabricating in our own minds. When we get through and get molded through the funnel, it's really about his purpose and the commission and to love God and love people and bring others to Christ.
So the moral of the story is, if you're in this.
No, go ahead, Bobby.
What's up, bud?
I was gonna say that the moral of the story is, if you're in the sand trap, don't use a driver. There you go.
Is that the moral? I was gonna say, God's really, his most important thing is about you and your being with him. Like that, your career, your business, your everything is not your identity. Your identity rests with him, always with him, always with him. And when we lose focus of that, that's when everything else becomes more important, and you find yourself kind of skidding along. And maybe not skidding along in life and financially, you might be doing great, but you're skidding along with the spiritual life that he wants you to have. Like it's about the being with him. It's about that personal relationship, that really keeps your life rich, the richness of your spirit is what keeps you wealthy. Always.
Yep.
Can't lose sight of that, because a lot of
Yeah.
times we put, well, my career is this, and that's where my focus is and my commission is. I hear what you're saying, Brad. But really your commission is part of what's going on with you and him. Right? He's the one who creates the miracles in your business or your whatever, and you get to watch. Okay. But the commission really comes down to you and him. That's what
Yeah.
makes it great, because there's a lot of faith. You got to run through people, or it is about your work. You got to do this to get this, right? And it's not about your work. It's about this between you and him. And the
Yeah.
more solid that is, the more people see God, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you're the only Bible that people see. Well, when you're so tight with him, that's what they see, and they want it, because they see the light, they see the lamp, like you were saying, Rob, that illuminates. They see that, and that's what they want. There's
Yeah.
your commission, all wrapped up into that, knowing who you are in Christ.
Maybe next episode we can talk about the power of peace and spiritual contentment. Yes, I wrote it down.
Now we have a subject, right?
Now we have a subject. All right,
Love
guys. Any
Wait. Hang
oh.
on a second before
Oh,
we
no.
stop.
Oh,
We can't
I was
forget
saying, any
about
closing
who
words?
said this, because
Any closing words?
yeah, we can't
Any-
we can't forget about who said this, because there's some gold nuggets that happened today. All right. So
Sorry.
you guys ready?
Sure.
Who said this? Can't do anything to affect your eternity.
That's me.
That's right, Brad. You're not supposed to say that, though.
Oh, oops. You didn't tell me the rules, man.
I didn't know there was a quiz. I don't.
All right. Maybe you're not Job. Maybe you're just not listening.
Rob.
Rob said that.
If you chase the thing, it will run away from you.
Rob.
You can just say Rob, because I spoke a
So-
lot in this
Yeah,
time.
sounds like it was
it's
the
just
Rob
safe, it's
show.
just safe.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man. I'm telling you. It's okay to obsess over God.
Oh.
Kevin.
That's right. That is so powerful. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's okay to obsess over God. Let go and let God.
Not sure. Bobby?
Bobby.
That's right, Bobby.
Okay.
Could it be that you're on the wrong track?
Brad.
Brad, right?
Brad.
I couldn't say it. I knew it, but I couldn't say it because of the rules.
All right. No rules. Sorry, Brad. You can't be a leader if you're not a good follower.
That's Rob.
Rob.
Hello. Be specific in what you ask.
I think that was you.
That's Jeff.
Well, Bobby said it, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. If we follow him, he will give you something you love.
Don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, though, isn't it? If we
Yeah.
follow him, he will give you something you love.
I'm
Kevin.
not sure. Kevin, okay.
Kevin. Slavery is an attitude and a mindset, not actually a thing.
I think that was
I
Rob.
think that was Rob. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Mm.
Rob.
All right.
I've underestimated the power of the little things.
Brad.
That was me.
That's right, Brad.
Yep.
And people don't engage in easy solutions.
That's Rob.
Rob, it's your show, buddy.
Yep. Part of the Rob show.
Sorry, I was on one today.
today.
I didn't mean for it to be like that.
No, man. If that's where the
No,
ministry
man.
is, that's where it needs to be.
Bring it,
Yeah, buddy.
brother. That's all I
That's
got to
it.
say. Bring it. Bring
That's
it,
it.
brother.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Well, it seems like we've dished out all the fat nuggets for today, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks again. We'll be talking to you soon.